They said, Ana, okay, tú tuviste en August 2004, August the 27th, tuviste with so and so, and your wife doesn't know about that. Here we go. Ese fue el más grande. Y el otro, tú robaste aquí. That's what I believe he was writing there. Because they were convicted by their own conscience. Y se fueron todos y quedó la mujer sola y the woman was left alone, the sinful woman. And Jesus said, woman, where are thine accusers? And he said, has no man condemned you? She says, no man. And Jesus said, neither do I condemn you. This woman had done something wrong, but Jesus did not condemn her. She needed to see the love of God first. Like the Samaritan woman needed to see God's love first before she could know what it was to be forgiven. Jesus said, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. In other words, Jesus is saying, mira, there's a way out of your problem, pero ya no lo vuelves a hacer, because something worse may come to you. But I don't condemn you either. So what do we do? What do we do with people that are not living right? It doesn't mean we condone what they're doing, but we don't condemn them either. Porque toda la mera verdad, brother, todos estamos guilty before God. The only difference between them and us is the blood. Si quizás a lo mejor no estamos haciendo algo tan pesado como esta mujer, pero como quiera, ante Dios el pecado es pecado. Now we have to give them self-respect, because if people choose to live a certain way, you have to respect that. Si una persona escoge vivir de una cierta manera, tú tienes que respetar eso, y eso es lo más difícil que hacer, porque nosotros en nuestras oraciones podemos sacarlo de ahí, de ese lodo cenagoso. With our prayers we can get them out of that dark hole, but it's not going to be with our arguing. But you have to respect people the way they are. Now God told Adam, out of every tree thou mayest freely eat that is in the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou may not eat of it, because the day you eat thereof you will surely die. Le dijo a él y él le dijo a Eva, y ellos sabían. Déjame decirte, fíjate, el muro que hay ahorita en el mundo es porque un hombre un día no obedeció a Dios, porque Dios no lo paró. Because God respects your self-will, your will, God respects that. He does not agree with it all the time, but God respects it. Dios respeta tu voluntad, aunque no está de acuerdo con tu voluntad todo el tiempo. Dios respeta y nunca te va a parar. Tú te puedes salir ahorita, inmediatamente después de la iglesia, ir a pecar y Dios no te va a parar. Tú te puedes ir a emborrachar, ir a cometer adulterio, ir a tirarte un viaje de marihuana y Dios no te va a parar. Why? Because God respects you as a person. Now that doesn't change the fact that you're going to pay the price for the sin that you commit. Nevertheless, God is not going to stop you. That's why God told Adam one time, and that was it. And when Adam and Eve got close to the tree, God wasn't watching there and saying, hey, hey, hey. God didn't say, Dios lo dejó. And God knew the consequences that were going to follow thereafter, and God did not stop the man. Why do we try to stop people? But you know what? Es que we don't pray. If we learn how to pray, those prayers can stop people. But we don't have the right to externally do it on the outside. Now, don't get me wrong, parents. Some of you have teenagers in your house that you need to rule over. I understand that. Estamos hablando aquí de algo that's beyond your control. And even then, you know, you can't force them to be the way you want them to be. You take them to God in your prayer closet. And don't forget that God respects everybody. And wives, let me tell you something, wives, and this applies also to husbands. Sometimes there's wives that live with unsaved husbands, or husbands that are spiritually not interested at all, ni nada, pero Dios los cambia, Dios los puede cambiar. My wife and I got saved at the same time, but that doesn't always happen that way. A veces primero se salva la esposa, muchas veces entre los mexicanos así somos, hay más mujeres que hombres en la iglesia. Vamos a hacer una encuesta ahora. Let's do a little survey here. All the females in this room stand up. That means you're a girl. Okay, I would say that's a pretty good size of women in church. Okay, thanks. Sit down now. All the males, that means you're a boy. Get up. Notice the difference? There's less. Thank you, brothers. Siéntate. We're living in dangerous times. You go to a restaurant and this is a men and women. Pretty soon I see men, women, other. We're living in perilous times. But praise God, aquí que nomás están más de dos clases. So we see that we have more women than we have men, even in this church. No sé si será eso la cultura de nosotros, or what is it? But ladies, let me tell you how you can kind of work your husbands into church without manipulation, without breaking the law of God, without forcing them, without using mental manipulation y nada de eso. 1 Peter chapter 3. But I believe it also works for the men, that the wives are still not saved. Verse 1 and 2, they said, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. Okay, you probably didn't understand a single word I read, porque es King James. Ahorita vamos a leer otra más fácil, pero vamos a leerla en español. Asimismo, vosotras mujeres, estad sujetas a vuestros maridos, para que también los que no crean a la palabra sean ganados sin palabra por la conducta de sus esposas, considerando vuestra conducta casta y respetuosa. Anybody have an NIV here? ¿Tú tienes NIV? NIV? New International Version? Another version? Robert?